fastest show in sports.
$54 million. Million dollars. For certain of those of you who remember that, okay? What would you do with $54 million? You get it thrown right in your lap. That's it. You can do with it whatever you want. You can go back to work. You can go fishing. You can buy a small island somewhere. What would you do with $54 million if you're Brian Kelly, the deposed head football coach at Louisiana State University? You're going to find that out. But here's the thing. Brian Kelly signed a contract coming out of Notre Dame to be the head football coach at LSU. LSU went after him, couldn't wait to have him. He was the answer, even though everybody at the time who knows anything about college football told the people at LSU, this is not the guy. He's not the one for you. There are certain coaches that are made for certain programs, and Brian Kelly is not the type to take over an SEC program, specifically even LSU. But they said, nope, this is the guy. We want him. Signed him to a contract, gave him all the money. And what also did they give him? $54 million on the back end. If we fire you, you can sit on your ass for $54 million. Well, if you get another job, then we pay you less. But we're still giving you $54 million. Now LSU wants to welch on the deal. LSU wants to go to Brian Kelly. They already have gone to him after his firing, and they made offers. It's a signed contract. But they said, well, we'll give you $20 million. Maybe we'll give you $30 million. Maybe we'll give you a little bit less, okay? And Kelly's lawyers have said, no. You signed it. You're going to give us that $54 million. And if you don't, we are going to go to the lawyers. Exactly right. Louisiana State put themselves on the hook for Brian Kelly, and they deserve to pay him every single time. Look, you sign a contract. It's there in black and white. You owe me $54 million. But now LSU wants to get out of it. Here's the thing about LSU and the money that's involved. And another one of those great things about college football that nobody really understands because nobody wants to look into it. People are screaming and hollering that at LSU, if you give Brian Kelly $54 million, then that's going to come out of the student fund. That's going to come at the loss to all the other athletics at Louisiana State. You give them money, and that money could have been given to all of these other athletic programs. See, and there's the problem. There are people out there who absolutely believe this, and you're wrong.
Scott Ballard is from the North Shore, owner of brands like PJ Coffee and Wow Cafe. But he's also chairman of the LSU Board of Supervisors. He recently went to the White House with the baseball team when they made a visit. And he says Brian Kelly's buyout is not going to cost the state a dime.
We're not taking anything here from what could have or would have gone to education, academics, or things with, the educational side of the school. It is self-generated funds from athletics, private donors, purely for athletics, meaning not coming from English department or the French department or the business school or scholarships money that could have went to scholarships, to your point, Travis, that we're diverting here. No.
Ballard also addressed the situation involving Governor Jeff Landry and his reported involvement in the process.
He is intense, as everyone who knows him, and that's not a bad thing. He absolutely is not pulling the strings to make the decisions or get involved in who are you getting or this or that and looking at what line to write for the contracts. No, he's not, but he cares.
Ballard says LSU will be just fine.
LSU requires a great coach. We're the best coaching job in the country.
And again, sources tell us that one major private donor is set to fund the lion's share of Kelly's buyout, whatever that turns out to be. At this time, that person's name is being kept private.
Oh, I'll bet it is. There's somebody sitting out there with $54 million says, don't tell everybody that I'm going to give out the money. So there's a couple of things to look at here. First of all, I'll get to that line in just a moment from Scott Ballard where he said that LSU is one of the best college football jobs in the nation. We'll discuss that momentarily. But let's think about money for a second here, okay? There's a guy out there somewhere who's a multimillionaire, who's got gobs of cash. And look, you can do with your money whatever you want. I really don't care. But I'd like to see the money go someplace where it would help and not just be tossed away. You've got somebody out there who's got $54 million, who is willing to just hand that money over to win a football game, to win a football national championship. This is what's all out of whack when it comes out to college football in this country right now. The hundreds of millions, soon going into the billions of dollars, that is being spent to basically just keep guys there who can go ahead and win football games. Look, I get it. I know how people are just all into your college football. I know it. It's a passion and all that. I see that. I'm not like that. I've never been that way. I've covered college football. I've been around it a long time. But I can't get that jacked up about it. But you can. Fine. No problem. But think for a minute the inordinate amount of money that is being wasted every single day. Couldn't that money go to something better? Look, if you're all into football, shouldn't that go to the program? Shouldn't that go now to the athletes themselves? Because now we have athletes that are getting paid. So that is where the money is going. But in the same breath, $54 million, imagine the good that it could do across an athletic department at any one of these colleges. Seriously, you have football, baseball, basketball. It's some schools hockey. You've got track and field. You've got golf. You've got intramural sports. You've got people playing in athletics who deserve a buck. And a lot of times, these athletics are getting cut because they don't have enough money. Give them money from the football program. Take some of that money and put it involved so that all the student athletes have a chance to actually benefit from it. But there's something wrong in this country where if you've got, and again, I'm going to get hammered, I know this, by LSU fans, because you folks have been very vocal when it comes to anything I've done on LSU. And I know you're going to come after me on this. And I welcome it. Go ahead, comment. I'll take it on any day. All I'm saying is winning a football game worth this to you? Is this what it's all about? Spending $30, $40, $50, $100 million just to win a football game? To win a championship? That's all important to you? You also notice, too, that when it comes down to the spending of all this money in college football specifically, college basketball is something we'll get into another day. But with all this money being spent in college football, notice how nobody ever says anything about the student athletes anymore. There is no such thing. There used to be a concern about making sure that the young men and women who were involved, and oh boy, I'll tell you what, I'm really throwing up the Pollyanna stuff here. But there used to be a time where you would be concerned about the student athletes actually getting an education. Most of these athletes who are now leaving in football and basketball leave the universities and they are as dumb as stumps. I mean, these are some of the stupidest people in the world because they have no idea how to run a life. They have no idea probably how to balance their bank account. The only thing they have to worry about is can they post enough social media to make enough money off NIL. These are stupid people. I mean, look, I've talked to the administrators, and some of them that they get out of there have the IQ of belly button lint, and the lint actually could probably do a whole lot more in business. Shouldn't there be more concern there? Shouldn't there be more concern about the players themselves actually getting an education? I mean, look, I know full well that people are going to say, well, that's the athlete's fault. The athlete doesn't get the education. It's up to him or her to make sure they get the education. Bullshit. It's also up to the university. We have reached a time when athletics is so important to people who just want to win. They don't give a damn. Look, these guys, whoever this guy is who's giving $54 million to Louisiana State University to cover Brian Kelly's buyout, do you think he gives a damn if anybody actually graduates? Do you think he or she gives a damn that there are student athletes going out there right now who are as dumb as bricks? But we don't care. They came in here and they gave us a chance to win down at Death Valley and the Bayou and wherever we're at these days. They gave us a chance to win. Doesn't that bother you? It bothers me, and I guess maybe I'm the only one. That's one thing when it comes down to this, with all this money that's out there, and it's all just about college athletics. It's got to be about something more. The second point of this is when it comes down to this idea that LSU is one of the best football programs in the country. Based on what? Look, I get it. There's national championships. There's contesting for SEC championships. I understand it. It's a great school. I have got many friends of mine who have graduated from LSU, very smart people. And I've been to those games a long time ago, but I've been to those football games. I've been there for baseball games. I've been there to call them, actually. It's a brilliant school. It's a beautiful school, a beautiful campus with some really great people involved. But one of the best football programs, look, I still come down to this. If you're thinking about taking the LSU job, and you know you've got the governor sitting on your perch and on your shoulder every single day, because here's a governor now who says, I'm going to get involved. And don't tell me that he's not going to get involved. All these rich guys got a way to get involved somewhere. He's just another one of these highfalutin rich guys who wants to go ahead and make sure that they have a piece in the actual event itself, that they're part of the process. They don't need him to be part of the process. They need somebody to pick a coach who's actually going to be the best football coach. But in the same breath, why do you want to be there? And I've addressed this before, but I just address it momentarily here as well. It's not a matter of money anymore. Because, you can pay a guy $20, $30 million, but then he comes in, and in 2 or 3 years he's out because he didn't do the job. Brian Kelly didn't do the job, and he's out now. What does that say to a coach? I'm just going to use LSU as a stepping stone? Is that all you want? No, of course not. You want somebody to come in and be involved in the program. And then there's bringing in players. Why would players want to come here? Because now players have an option. They just don't have to sit out there anymore. These players have an option to come to LSU. Why would they go to LSU if they can go to, and I'll stay in the SEC, if they can go to Florida, for instance? The Gators have a great program, a very competitive program. They might be one of the best in the country. But why go to play for LSU when I'm basically starting out fresh? Well, you're going to be starting out fresh at Florida as well. But the point of the matter here is we've got to bring some sanity to all of this money that's in here. This money is being spent simply because people want to puff out their chest. They want to wear the shirts and the hats, and they want to say, we won the SEC championship. We contested for the SEC championship. We won a national championship. Is that your value? Is that the worth? Is that all the program is worth at this point, is just to deliver a national championship? Look, if that's what you want, I get it. But is that all these programs are worth anymore? Shouldn't they be worth a little more? Shouldn't they be worth something to the student athlete? And I know nobody uses the phrase student athlete anymore. It's not even eligible there. But what about the player who's second, third, and fourth string on these teams, who's never going to be a part of the NFL, who now has got to worry about getting an education? What does he do? Is he got the same opportunity? Is he basically having to be part of the machine that grinds out players and he can't get a degree? Does he have to worry about getting the degree later? Are there options made for those who are actually playing athletics to get their degree? I say no. It's not there. The coaches don't care. The administrators don't care. They don't care if anybody comes out of here getting an education. That's not important. What's important is we're winning games, we're keeping the fan base happy, and we're keeping those boosters sitting on the outside, giving us things like 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollars so that we can get this done, when that money should be going somewhere else. It's going to athletics, but I'd like to see where it's going. I'd like to see that if there's money being paid in here, that it's going somewhere to where it gets to all the athletes, not just to one coach, because you fired him and you got to give him the money. Let's make it worth something at the universities anymore to be more than just greed. Let's make sure that we're actually getting some players coming out of the school going, well, they don't even have to worry about graduating anymore. It's just a machine. But let's give them a chance. Let's give the ones who want to get an education, let's continue to give them an honest chance to get that education, to be smart about it, to understand there's something more than athletics after you leave the campus. That's what I'd like to see. And I'd like to see these guys with all these millions of dollars. Hey, I tell you what, instead of being the guy, and how about this to the guy who's going to cough up the $54 million to Brian Kelly? While you're at it, how about you give me $10 million over here to help the athletic program, huh? How about you give me another $5 million over here to help this, to help something else, to help the other students? Wouldn't that be great? Problem with it is, it doesn't win a national football championship. And that's where people fall off the bandwagon. If you can't win the title, I don't want to be around. Maybe we need to look at something and make it a little bit more than just winning games.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.